And welcome everyone to our first session of HotD. That's a House of the Discussion podcast that we're going to be doing for everyone. So, I would say get your mind out of the gutter, but this is House of the Dragon. So there's going to be a lot of that discussion. And who better to bring in for such a discussion but my guest here today? Would you like to introduce yourself to anybody that will be watching?
Hi guys, my name's Brock. Satty420 here on Discord. I'm honored to be on this episode of HotD. Yeah, good times.
All right, so we're going to be talking about episode 1 of season 2 today. But going into this, I kind of want to know, Brock, what is your relationship with Game of Thrones, and what is your relationship with specifically House of the Dragon as well? Like, do you enjoy the series? What's your thoughts on it overall?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. When it started out, season 1, the first couple episodes, I was like, God, these awful blonde wigs. Like, I kind of couldn't get past that. But, once it started to build up and get going, then I really started to, get sucked back in. And I've watched Game of Thrones from the jump. I had that 8-year-long relationship with that. And I was truly devastated whenever, it ended, which, I mean, I loved how it ended. I know a lot of people were pissed off about it, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And, I'm digging the first season. And I think the season 2, episode 1 was a really, really good comeback.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, is it felt like it has been such a quick turnover for this as well. Like, it feels like, I feel like it's been longer than what it has when this came out. It feels like it was just like, oh, it's time again to do this again. This is great, because I mean, like we were talking about before we started this, it seems like television, or at least like these television shows, are kind of becoming more of the like gossip media than the movies used to be. So there's definitely a lot of fun that comes with this series in specific, because drama is always happening, and this first episode is high politics, which means high drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Alicent Rhaenyra like dichotomy is, pretty much like the basis of the whole show, obviously. But like, I really like how it's coming forward, like showing. Like, did you notice that fucking in this whole entire episode, Rhaenyra had one fucking line? Did you know what it was?
Oh, it was the to get the one son.
I want Aegon Targaryen.
Yep.
Period. Like,
Hey, room.
No, out of here, buddy. I'm doing a discussion. Sorry.
Oh, you're
that
good.
Goofy kid.
But yeah,
so I did notice that, and then it's so haunting, and I swear it seems like she is about to do something so bad. I mean, she kind of does already with what happens at the end of the episode, but I don't think that that's the end of it. What she is about to do is going to make what Daenerys did look like misdemeanors. Like she is she's about to go off. We're about to see a mother's wrath.
Absolutely. And like, just, I mean, and you know, speaking of like the way it ended in season 1, when it just panned down, she just looked at the fucking camera. I was like, you already know, like, oh, shit's going the fuck down. Like, I can't wait for it.
Something that makes me wonder as well is Game of Thrones has a history with their cast of going to extremes to make them be in character. You know, if a character is out in the wilderness, they're telling them, hey, you shouldn't be showering. This is like real grime that's going to be on them. Like they're supposed to feel in the moment. So it makes you wonder what conditions they had Rhaenyra under, like the actress under, to get ready for this role, because you can just feel it on her, this dread that hangs over her shoulders.
It's dirty, yeah, and you can tell she's been stewing in it. And I mean, and it's great. It makes for great television. And also, like, as far as method acting goes, you know, I mean, like, the directors are pretty much geniuses. Like, I don't know personally if I would be able to handle that. You know, the no showering thing, like the keeping them outdoor, like, you know, but like, I mean, also at the same time, like I feel like it helps make the emotions come across a lot truer in the series, as opposed if they were just like pampered princesses that just showed up and threw on a clean wig and, you know, had some like makeup.
Yeah, you're not having like perfect elven Lord of the Rings hair in this series too often. Like if I seen somebody with that nice of hair, I know that their whole life is about to be fucked, because nobody's allowed to have that nice of a life in the Game of Thrones series.
Hell no. And I mean, come on, like we're fucking brothers and sisters. We're like killing babies first episode. I mean, that's what I want to see.
And I love you gotta have something big like that in the end of the first episode to like, you have to have that elevation that makes people go at the end of the episode, oh, this is the direction. Like both sides are gonna be getting dirty, but that makes me wonder, which side are you on when it comes to the rivalry?
Well, war. I mean, I'm Team Rhaenyra. Like, I can't help it. Like, Alicent is a snake. Like, all the high towers are, as far as I'm concerned.
I keep calling the high towers like team feet picks. Like that's the vibes that I get from them.
Well, I mean, because she's gonna hoe herself out and do whatever, you know, fuck whoever, show the feet, do whatever she has to do. Like, and that's what Alicent has to do. And Rhaenyra was born into this shit, so there's a big difference.
And was that kind of the representation you thought that they were giving when she was trying to like scrub herself clean? Like maybe she just keeps having to go and do these disgusting things. Like she doesn't feel good about it, but it is her weapon.
Well, and then also too, like, you know, like Christian Coe's fucking bitch ass, you know, sitting there fucking like all still fucking, you know, dick hurt basically because Rhaenyra's not like, oh, let me just drop the whole entire fucking realm and run away with you and be fucking nothing when I'm the queen and shit like that. And then once again, it's basically like, oh, here you go, Alicent. Have my sloppy fucking seconds. You already fucked my fucking dad. You're already fucking, you know, like shit like that.
I will say that
wants to be her so bad.
Rhaenyra still kind of kills me though, just a little bit. And with the kids, I get it that she wasn't wanting to have kids with like gay best friend or whatever, but for the kingdom, for the bloodline, I just feel like pop a baby in her and then go and have her fun. I'm just saying. It's the most obvious damn thing in the world that those are not Targaryen babies.
No, not at all. Like, I mean, and because like you see the first two, and then you see like the last ones that she's having with Damon and stuff like that, and you're like, oh my god, they're blonde headed and both
Oh, who would have thought?
crazy. I guess I just skipped those first two. Not
Right.
like no,
Damon
something's
is
up.
out
Like,
here like living his best rogue life as well. Like it seems like he's always stalking in the shadows, which is just very fun watching Matt Smith get to play a role like this.
oh yeah, yeah, I love Matt Smith too as an actor. Like anything he's ever been in, it's great. But yeah, but see, like that's like as far as like Team Rhaenyra and Team Allison goes, or whatever. Like the Damon aspect of it all is the only one that's fucking with me because it's like I feel like Rhaenyra will do the damn thing if and when she stops listening to what the fuck Damon wants her to do, you know, which he has some
Yeah.
very valid points as far as like getting the revenge and like fucking smashing that shit, like go in there and turn it off. Like I feel him on that or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like Rhaenyra would be more apt to like show mercy and do this in a more quote unquote respectful way.
Yeah.
You know, if she didn't have Damon in her fucking ear being like, well, you know, son for a son. Better fucking go
Yeah.
kill them all. Should have killed them all when you had the fucking chance.
I'm kind of
like
surprised that they didn't go for, you know, like creepy Mick, like Andy Samberg with an eye patch, you know, second son. Like I thought that that's who that who she was going to be like his head. I'm not happy until his head is on a spike, you know?
I feel like that's what she wants. I just
Yeah.
don't feel like that's what the dudes were able to come up with at that moment and stuff. Which, I mean, not saying like getting his firstborn son isn't like a big hit because it totally is. But like, no, she's not going to be happy until she gets Aegon. Like, she just won't be. And like, and that's like, and that's been brewing since, you know, since the two princes were little, you know, when he cut dude's eye out, whatever. Like, you know, you knew it was going to happen and stuff like that. So, and back then, I think she was all like, "Oh well, you know, you guys are what half brothers, I guess." Like, the Targaryen bloodline is fucking confusing. Like, you know, like how many Aegons, how many Aemons, how many fucking everything is there?
I really wish that they would like make the names. There was a Joffrey. Like, why
literally,
are we reusing these names?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they do that, but like, you know, it's just like fuck, like y'all could have like divvied it up, like just throw letter, like he could have been Tagon, he could have been fucking Dagon, like I don't know, like something like to give us a little bit of separation because it gets really and like the fucking, which granted, I think they're so fucking sexy. Just side note, the fucking Erics, the twin Erics, and like one's fucking Allison, whatever, and I'm like, really, we just couldn't do any better than Eric and Eric. Like that's not confusing enough as it is, and then you got Aemon and Viserys and Jacaerys and blah, blah, blah. Like I mean, it's just we need a fucking like a bar graph with that's showing which one is which and which timeline and like who they all belong.
You do need a chart, and there's charts out there. Is what's bad about it.
Oh, I know, I've seen them. I remember when season 1 ended and I was like recapping and stuff like that. Like I specifically had to go out and look because I was so fucking confused, and I was like, oh. No, I'm not crazy. That guy was just Aegon 2 or fucking, you know, Viserys or whatever. And I was like, okay, so now that makes way more fucking sense.
One thing that makes me worried a little bit with this show, and I don't think that they're too bad about it, but they started to put that heavy focus on the Starks for a second there. And I love seeing little things like that of what the other families were doing. I just never want it to be something that's going to overshadow too much of this show, just going for like, you know, fan service of the previous season. I'm not saying they'll do that, but that was a pretty long scene just to kind of dwell with the Starks for a while.
Yeah, and for him to get the news of his brother's death and stuff, which you could totally tell that's where he was at and everything, and that's you know, that's good and stuff. But yeah, like it makes me wonder how that's all going to play out. And from what it seems already, it seems like the Riverlands. I can't remember what that specific castle is they're talking about, like Lord something that holds the whole key to the Riverlands, blah blah. Like I feel like we're going to get a lot more of that storyline into probably coming up soon or whatever, because and wasn't that also like in Game of Thrones, wasn't that where the like it's basically like where Sansa came back, or not Sansa, shit, Arya came and like slit his throat and everything. It's the same the same palace. Like I can't think of what it's called.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Now, like,
So like,
what's killing me with this season so far though is like it was another really dark episode, like lighting wise. This series has a really bad habit of blowing out, like if you're not watching on a really good TV, like the darks. Like it kills me, and they've been doing it for a good few seasons. I think it was about like the fourth or fifth season in the Game of Thrones they started using that lighting, and it just I can never seem to have a monitor or even a TV that doesn't just make it look kind of pixely almost.
oh, same. Yeah. No, literally, I've thought the same thing since since the original game. It's like, okay, we get it, it's dark and shit like that, but you guys have fucking torches and fire for a reason. Like, let us
Yeah.
fucking see what's going on, dude. Like,
There was
yeah,
wars. Like I can understand when it's used for like effect, like when it's a war and the mystery of it was you don't know what's in the darkness. But it's like every time they're going down a hallway, it's like, does it need to really be this damn dark every time?
no, no, it doesn't. And yeah, and like I remember like specifically like the battle on the very last season with the Nightwalkers and stuff like that. Like I couldn't fucking
Oh,
see anything what was going on.
yeah.
I couldn't see fucking anything. And it's like, please do not make this mistake again. But something tells me that they might. They might just do it
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Which would really suck, especially when you're having things like dragons. I want the full detail of the dragons. Like you can make it stormy or whatever, but if you make it so dark, you can't see the detail in a lot of the things. It feels more like you're hiding bad like effects or
CGI.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it makes it feel like to me a lot of the times. And because that's the industry that I did study in college, and that's a thing that people will do is use like certain lighting to help hide mistakes.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's which I mean, I was also very interested to see how that was going to play out in this season because, like, it is obviously like CGI dinosaurs or shit dinosaurs, dragons. Um, so I was wondering how much they were going to be like, like in it, like main focus, like
Yeah.
shot wise and stuff. And I'm hoping that we see a lot of them. And so far, I think we're going to.
I mean, it's HBO money, and they're good for that. That's one thing I will say about them. Even after they got bought by Discovery, they still put in a heavy dollar into their shows that they know are gonna work. So I think that we will definitely get a lot of good dragon action in this one, which, in the animation industry, there's this joke from the Space Ghost Coast to Coast show back in the day where like
Mhm.
Brack was moving his arm and talking about how every time he moves it, they get to charge the animators like $20 or something like that. So, I
Oh
mean,
god.
like that's what it is though. Like every time you see those dragons, like that dollar sign is just cranking up more and more
Oh
because
yeah.
because
You
us
know it is.
animators, we need a dollar too.
Yeah. Probably like $100,000 every time
Oh
we
yeah.
did like a
Well, there's not a
fly-through.
lot of companies anymore. A lot of us have gone more independent. Like I know that's what I've done. I'm like slowly making a company right now that's gonna make like individual models by order instead of working for some big company that's gonna take all the money while I'm getting paid $17 an hour or something to do work. Like I swear.
Capitalism, baby.
Oh yeah, and I'm not buying into it because we're going into like a big revolution of like indie studios basically making the good stuff anyway. It's happening in video games now too. But all of that aside though, do you think that this season is going to surpass the first season? Because I've heard some reviews from people that got to see the entire thing already saying that it does in fact top the first season, which is hard to believe.
Well, I personally hope that does happen because as much as I did enjoy the first season or whatever, I do feel like that could be easily done, in
Yeah.
my opinion, personally. Like, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't like it because I did. I loved it. Like, it was great and stuff. But I have higher hopes for this season because I feel, well, because like yeah, they had Game of Thrones already, but that was like, that was like the test dummy in season one or whatever. So like you need to give it to us harder, bigger, better, faster in
Yes.
season two than you did for season one, or else because if you don't get in on this season, then we're not going to stay hooked and it's not going to last. It's not going to be like we're not going to be having
Right.
this conversation for episode five like we did in Game of Thrones, which was what, like 8 seasons, if I'm
I
remembering
think it was
correctly.
8, I believe.
Yeah, over like 12 fucking years or something crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how long did we wait for that last season finale? Like, Yeah, so I do. I hope so. Which I mean, granted, like I said, I do. I absolutely loved season one, but yeah, I'm ready for season two to go ham.
Yeah, I
And I think it
definitely,
will.
I do think because we had a lot of the slower moments in season one as well. Like the same with the first season of Game of Thrones, you had to kind of lay the framework for you have to see society how it's supposed to be, so that way you know when it's crumbling that it's like dire.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's one you're building. It's got to build up too. And yeah, because the Game of Thrones, like it was really, really slow. I'd say for a couple seasons, and then it
Yeah,
really started to speed up because you know they're giving everybody side stories. They're building us up. They're giving us, you know, it's basically like a prologue, you know,
exactly.
essentially. And yeah, so I'm excited to see how far they're going to take it.
I do like that this series is a bit more compact than Game of Thrones, though. You basically have just the two families more than anything else. Any characters that fall outside of that seem to be pretty minor for the most part. You know, like
Yeah, but like, and yeah, but we know the reference because of Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
we recognize these family names. We recognize the, you know, the realms, the seven kingdoms and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So I think that helps it out a lot. Is
it
where they are
does.
focusing on the two. It's because you know the other ones were there. You know, so you don't need their side stories because we've already gotten their side stories. Like
Yeah.
we know who's over what. We know the Starks are up north. Like we already heard the Lannisters thrown in there. The High Towers, like all that jazz. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
just give us fucking Targaryen versus Targaryen.
Exactly. And by having it that compact, it lets us move at a better pace and it makes it where it's not having the issue that Game of Thrones have where I can almost guarantee every season there was like one of the cutaway storylines that you just did not enjoy. Like I know that there was almost always one that I'm like, "Oh, are we really doing this storyline again? Who cares about this?" Like cuz I'm sorry, there was some brand moments that were boring as shit. Like
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Brant, I mean, oh God, I could go on about that for days. But yeah, yeah. But I mean, like, and then in other ways, like, oh my God, what was the roses? I can't think of their names, whatever. Like, I mean, the Tyrells, honey, I could have had a whole season just about the Tyrells.
Oh,
Like,
they're doing a season about the forming of Dern though, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
ooh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, the coolest family that got shafted the quickest. Like I swear to God, I still can't get over that.
No,
Pascal looked so good in that. Oh,
yes, he did.
how are you gonna
Yeah,
dangle
he did.
bisexual energy in front of us like that and just take it away so
And
quickly?
just take it out. Well, and also too, like I mean, with the first season of, you know, House of the Dragon or whatever, I'm just like, well, where, you know, the son that's fucking dead, her first husband or whatever. I'm like, can we at least get a little bit of a good gay love story? Like, where the fuck are they at? What are they doing? Like, is he like you think he's gonna come back and they're gonna be like, oh, surprise, just kidding, he actually isn't dead. Like, we just
Yeah.
faked his death so he could be happy. Like, I hope so. By the way, here's my fellow Lord hottie husband guy. Like, I don't know, but
Yeah, and they made them so boring. Like if you're at least gonna have
yeah.
some like that was the thing is they just like they were very much just frame pieces to be used, but they really didn't give them any
Like, oh, he's
personality.
gay. Like that was the big. Oh God, he was gay. Like I
Right.
mean, like thank you, I guess. Like I mean,
Like
it's
there's
Pride Month
all
and
of the
all, but
shit
like
that's going on, like all the debauchery that's happened like in that one street down like in the lower part of the castle area, and they're gonna be
yeah,
worried about some people being gay. Like, come
yeah. Like you guys can
on.
fuck your brothers and sisters, but like God forbid he sees
Right.
the ass.
Like
Oh God,
it's just so
yeah,
ridiculous, and I understand the arranged marriage and blah 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 blah, you know, pass on the blah blah
right.
blah, but I still say like the way that they were doing it shouldn't even have to be that secret. If they want to be like, look, this is the family marriage right here, but that's the boyfriend, you know, like that shouldn't even be a
Yeah,
fucking issue.
absolutely.
Like
But
there's
good for
plenty
him.
of like kings and queens in history that did that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just had like we're openly like had mistresses and partners and secret love things, whatever. And it's like, okay, we play house together and then we go off to the side and fuck whoever we want. Like that's just royalty. Like,
Exactly. Like
yeah,
if anyone's ever seen this series, The Great, it's a really fun example of that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But
Or most
yes,
recently, George and Mary. I don't know if you watched that on Stars.
I don't think I've seen that one. No.
Oh, you should watch it. It's really it's about King James and
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was allegedly a big old homo. Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. Like it was literally the whole premise of the show.
Okay.
How he was
So
just out there fucking dudes.
so do you have any predictions that you want to throw out there since we are on episode 1? Any predictions you want to throw out there leading into what's going to happen for this season?
Well, so do you want to just go hard and like give our early guess of who's going to take the throne?
Yeah, see what sticks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I think it'll be Rhaenyra. I
Mm,
do. And I
okay.
think Allison and that whole line's going to get wiped the fuck out.
I
I think a lot of them will, but I think at the end she's going to be sitting there like Daenerys did and just like, yep, I burned everything down. But instead of her getting killed, she's just going to get to stay that bitch.
I am so terrified of it not happening is the problem. Like it's such a Game of Thrones kind of thing to go and just be like, nah, we're gonna end up putting, Eye Patch McAndy Sandberg on the throne at the end, like,
Literally, or like fucking, I don't know, what's his name? Like one of the little kids will grow up here in 8 years and it'll end up being them or something.
do
Like,
you
I don't
think we'll
know.
get another big time skip?
I do, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think it can work. Well, I mean, it probably could work without a big time skip, but I mean, just think about how long it was from the first season to this one now. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
They
Like,
had
and
a
then
pretty
how
big
long it
one.
takes to film these too. Like, yeah, I think they're going to grow up a little bit, not a lot. I don't think it'll
Oh,
be
okay.
as severe
So
as
you don't
the
think they're gonna
original
do like
Game
an
of
actor
Thrones.
change like they did in the first season?
No, no, I don't think it'll do all that. Maybe a couple of them,
Mm.
maybe the smaller kids and stuff like that, or the younger one. But like, no, I just think they're just going to gradually grow up over the next few. But like, I don't see this going for 8 years like Game
I
of
don't
Thrones
think
did.
8,
But I
but
mean,
it
I could see a
has
solid like
already.
4.
Yeah, because it has already been renewed for a third, and that's why I do not think that Rhaenyra or Alicent will die in this season. I think that they're both
Oh no.
safe
Mm-mm.
because I think that we're gonna have more buildup of just seeing the complete anger of these mothers, like just becoming completely unhinged.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, and if they did, I mean, if it ended there, there would go the show. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they can't give it to us yet like that. Like that's going to be the whole bill. Like just like we saw, who's gonna finally sit on it in the end with Game of Thrones or whatever. Or like no, like we're going to have at least 2 or 3 good filler seasons in between before the final
Yeah.
showdown happens. And I'm
I
very
could
much
I could
looking
be
forward to
happy
that.
with a solid 4 or 5 on this one. I don't want to go much
Yeah,
past that. I don't want it to get to a point where it's not even fun anymore. But at that point, I could see at least a pretty hefty time skip if we ended up staying for 5 whole seasons. I think that we could be even possibly be getting like old lady Rhaenyra by the end of it.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, I could see it. Yeah, the war lasting for ages, and stuff. Like, yeah, I could absolutely see that. But I think, like you said, it needs to be kept to like a 3 to 5 max. Like,
Yeah,
because like I enjoy looking forward to having something to watch on Sunday nights again or whatever. So it just needs to keep
same.
us interested and hanging on. So we get to live that again because that's what we want in the end.
Oh
We want
yeah.
another. Just give it to us like you gave it to us before,
I'm
basically.
I'm
But
so
with
glad that
dragons,
they have stuck with the model of releasing this weekly because I
yeah.
do not like a lot of the streaming services. I can understand releasing 2 to 3 episodes to start out with, like they just did with The Boys, but if you drop all of your episodes right at once, you've just completely killed the fun of water
Absolutely.
cooler talk. You've got to have that weekly buzz. That's the fun of it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like if 1 or 2 episodes on the very first, cool. If that's how you want to do it, but like
Yeah.
even the fact that they just did one, I'm not mad about it at all. I can't wait to, I can't
I
wait for
actually
the rest of
love the
the two.
confidence of only doing one because most shows typically do 2 or 3 these days. So the confidence of saying, nah, one's all you guys need, you're already hooked. That's a lot of confidence that they have going into this season. And that's a good feeling knowing how the feelings weren't so great with the end of Game of Thrones for some people. And I'm also not as big of a hater as a lot of people. There are things that I disliked from it, but I do not think that it was the train wreck that a lot of people do. I just think that there was some bad choices made.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with that 100%, 100%. And and I feel like really HBO is really the only one that's doing that still
Yeah.
these days.
There
So like I like that for what it is. As much as I am like absolutely love to like, oh shit, a whole season dropped, and I guess I'm going to binge watch this whole entire season in one day or whatever. I like a build up. Call
yeah.
me old fashioned.
I think that it does a lot better for the show, in fact, though, because that water cooler talk does get like word of mouth around for the show, that by the end of it, you've probably picked up a lot of people just off of the gossip and how excited people are getting week to
Oh
week.
well, absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, like, I didn't initially start out, like, there was probably, I think, 2 or maybe 3 seasons already before I got into Game of Thrones. I had
Yeah.
heard about it, but like at that point in my life, I just wasn't really into, I don't know, like the time period pieces and stuff,
That's fair.
especially like super medieval and stuff. Because I mean, shit, I was in my younger 20s when that came out. But by the time it came around, by the time I heard about it, I was like, oh shit. So I
Mm.
had to, and then I was sitting there hooked, waiting and waiting. So yeah, like I'd rather a slow build and drop it, because that's, like you said, that is what's going to keep people hooked. That's what's going to keep it like, and then
Yeah.
also it gives that great cinematic thing of like, oh god, every single time we're leaving on a fucking cliffhanger, and you have to know what happens next.
Oh yeah, because
And
then all the conspiracies start going, all the what's gonna happen, what you think. Because I can tell you, with Game of Thrones, we all had insane theories that missed the mark by like a million miles.
oh, absolutely, yeah, and
And
like,
we
also,
all
I'm
were
gonna
convinced
say
that
it,
we had it figured out.
the Red Wedding, the
Oh.
best death in cinematic history. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
what you say. Joffrey dying, nothing will ever do it for me like that episode did. That's it's the greatest episode of all time in my period. I don't care.
But has anyone got your blood boiling yet that it's gonna be as satisfying in House of the Dragon?
Honestly, the Hand of the King. I can't wait to see the fucker die.
I
I can't
mean,
wait.
like I look forward to seeing the old feet pics get what's coming to him, just because he's creeping me out. But nobody's got me boiling like Joffrey did. That guy was such a good actor for just knowing how to make people despise him.
Yeah, he was perfect at that. He did his fucking job. That's for sure. He understood the assignment.
Yeah, well, I will say this show has 1000% convinced me I do not want kids, because every child in the show is fucking awful.
Oh, absolutely. Like, even the little kid at the fucking table, I'm like, if you don't sit that fucking ball down, bro. Like,
You're right. This show is perfect if you just do not like kids. You're gonna be like, yeah, I still do not like kids after this show.
Well, and also, like, Loki, like, I mean, okay, Queen Helena, like, fucking just give him the fucking son right away and just, like, calmly sit there. Like, that was fucking insane. Like, and she just carries the other ones, like, oh, they killed the boy. Like, shit.
Yeah.
Damn. Guess you don't like kids too much either.
Most definitely not. So yeah, I think that is where we are going to end this first episode of House of the Discussion. So how did you feel? I know that you were a little bit nervous jumping into this first episode. Did the nerves wash away pretty quickly like I told you they would?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It went by pretty easily, I must say. I've rather enjoyed it. So thank you for having me, and I can't wait to see you next week to talk about it again.
We'll have like at least 1 or 2 more people with us next week as well, so it'll be fun having a more gathering of the thoughts. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Of course, I am Rune. You can always find me doing something or another here, much like on Thursdays we have our general podcast about all things geekdom. And do you have anywhere that people should be trying to find you, Brock?
Well, Sadie420 on here. Also Sadie on TikTok, and soulsurgery_32 on Instagram.
All right, so we'll definitely get all of your links and put them in the YouTube video. So if you're watching this on YouTube later, make sure that you go and check the description, so that way you can go and show some love, because that's what we do here. We want to go and show support for all the creators that come through here. But yeah, make sure that you come back next week as well. Thanks everyone for watching. And I love all your faces. I will see you guys very, very soon.
Bye, guys.